To get started, we're just going to click on this plane, go up to our quick hair presets, and choose the furball preset. If we go into the modify panel, you'll see that this really just references our plane and gives us a few modifiers that we can use. I won't really need hair from guides or edit guides right now, so I'm going to delete those, and I'm going to adjust guides from surface to give me how many tree trunks I want. So 300 is probably great for hair, but we need much less for our tree trunks. So I'm just going to set that to 5. Now I'm also going to go into our above render settings, and I'm going to add our mesh from strands. This way we'll be able to see the actual mesh. So I'm going to go right down here on our toolbar and say add mesh from strands, and now you can see that mesh show up. In mesh from strands, I'll uncheck camera facing, and I'm going to choose prismatic or cylindrical so that we get an actual cylindrical mesh out of this. And now in render settings, I can crank up my global radius. I'll turn on show end results so I can see that. Now I'm ready to kind of form the overall look of our tree trunk. So I know that they're a little tapered at the bottom, maybe a little bend here. I know I want to put that little hump that they have kind of at the top there. And to get a little better fidelity out of this, if I just turn on edge faces, you can see maybe I don't have as many sides or as many segments as I would want. Now I can adjust this in 2 different places. As far as the strands go, they're going to have a number of points. And if I set this up to maybe 15 or 17, I'm going to start to get that amount that I want. Now, the other direction is usually going to be from mesh from strands. If I go in here, you can see that if I just scroll down a bit, I have a number of sides. So 1 is just the basic triangle number of sides. We can set this to a couple more. So I'm just going to bump this up to 6 for the moment. And that way we have a few more that we can kind of deal with here. Now back in render settings, I'm going to go in and pop up this graph. I just love these new graphs because your ability to really adjust something complex like this really increases, where you'll be able to kind of bell these out, so on and so forth. So if I'm pretty happy with this, I can just kind of close it out. But one thing I did want to show is we can save this stuff out as a preset. So if you have a particular tree or shape that you like, or leaf shape that you like, you have these presets here which are really great. I happen to have the palm trunk in here, and I'm just going to kind of pop that in, and you can see automatically I get this nice palm trunk that I can work with. So that's my overall shape of the palm trunk, and that's working pretty good. Let me go in, and right above guides from surface, I'm going to add a surface comb, and this is going to add a little bit of a bend to my trees. So I'm going to just go right in and choose surface comb, and you can see it bends them in kind of random directions. We could create little sync vectors to point them in a different direction, but right now random directions is fine with me, especially for these trees. Now these trees tend to kind of bend over like they are, maybe not quite so much, and then they look up towards the sun. So I can create a graph like this that kind of gives me that nice little S-shaped bend that you see in palm trees quite often. And I'm just going to do a couple renames here. Rename this trunk bend, and I'm going to rename this trunk render. That way I kind of know what's going on. So this is the first stage in creating our tree. We've created our trunk, and now we're going to move on to creating that propagation modifier.